#1 South Asian radio station. 89.1 and 93.1
Red FM.
ਰੋਸ਼ਨੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਰੋਤਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਅੱਜ ਨਵੰਬਰ 2 ਤੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਹੋ ਚੱਲਿਆ ਜੀ 2:07 ਸਾਡੇ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਦੀਆਂ ਘੜੀਆਂ ਤੇ। ਔਰ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਖਾਸ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ। ਸਾਡੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਆਨਰੇਬਲ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਪਾਬਲੋ ਰੋਡਰਿਗਸ, ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਆਫ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਹੈਰੀਟੇਜ ਐਂਡ ਮਲਟੀਕਲਚਰਲਿਜ਼ਮ, ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਖਾਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਇਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਹੈ ਉਹਦਾ ਕੀ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਹੈ। Welcome, Minister Rodrigues.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Minister, what is the purpose of your visit to Vancouver?
Many things. First of all, we have anti-racism engagement sessions, which are extremely important for our government, for me as a minister, for the Prime Minister and the government. So we're discussing with experts, with people that have a lot of experience with anti-racism strategies. So we can come up with a national strategy to fight racism. We understand that it's short-term, mid-term, and long-term, right? But we have to start somewhere, and that's what we're doing.
How do you think that these engagement sessions would help in combating racism in Canada? And do you think these kind of interventions will help broaden the mindset of the people?
I think so. I'm quite optimistic. We have those sessions across the country. We have 22 sessions. And we know that, that systemic racism exists, that it existed before, it still exists today, and different forms of racism. And we have to fight all these forms of racism. And what we're doing, looking for the participants, are very concrete solutions. Sometimes it requires money, and sometimes it requires a change of legislation, sometimes both.
When there was a recent news came, like the sessions you already did in Southern Ontario, they were held in a closed doors. So what was the reason why they...
It's always an invitation because we want to have safe space environment, I would say. We are 3 hours together to really deepen the conversation, to get to the bottom of things. And we want to make sure that everybody is able to speak their mind, speak freely, without any judgment or anything else, and it really works. It really works.
So the engagement session you already have hosted, how has been the feedback so far? Are people coming forward with their stories, or what kind of feedback you got from those?
Yes, absolutely. It's impressive. It's incredible. Be it from members from the Indigenous people, members from the Sikh community, members from the Black community that are sharing their experiences, but also sharing paths that we can move forward, sharing solutions. And this is exactly what we're looking for. And again, I said, you're not going to fight racism overnight. It's a long process, but you need to start somewhere. And this is what I want to do. And this is what we're doing.
Yeah, and there's one more term right now going on with the systemic racism. Mm-hmm. What's your say on that? Like, is there any particular communities, those who are facing that kind
of... Yes. If you look, for example, the percentage of Indigenous people in Canada and their representation in jail, or the same thing from people from the Black community and the perception of they are and the perception they're in jail, there's a big discrepancy. The Muslim population is going sometimes through very tough times. So those are things that you can see, and sometimes the system repeats actions time and time again that lead to the same result. So
what is going to be the framework for the new anti-racism strategy, the new national anti-racism strategy?
Well, the framework is to combat racism under all its forms. We want to make sure that we touch everything, including legislation, including investing in the strategy. But it's not something that I want to write by myself in my office or with my team. I wanted to write it with real people, with people that went through different experiences, people that have studied this, academics, or all kinds of people that have something to bring around the table. And that's what we do across the country.
Is there any particular provinces, those who have more prone to racism, or?
No, racism exists everywhere. It's sad to say, but also I think there's also a will to combat racism. There are communities that, of course, I'm thinking again about the Indigenous people, the Black community that really, really through time have been, victims of racism, but others too. So we have to fight that.
Yeah, because I have two studies with me, especially in BC, with the British Columbia Assembly of First Nations. They have, come up with this idea to the racism in Canada must end and Canadians must do better. So
we can all do better.
So do you think these engagement session is the only way to help?
Oh, there's other ways. No, I don't think this is the end of the start and the end of everything. No, not quite the opposite. But I think that these sessions are necessary to help me as a minister, to guide me and to guide the team in drafting the proper legislation. And also, it's important to say that I'm not working on my own on this one. I'm the lead on the file, but I'm working with the Justice Minister, Public Safety Minister, and many immigration ministers, many ministers involved, because this is something extremely important for the government of Canada.
Prime Minister, there's a very strange finding in another survey which was commissioned by Vancity, and that was the online survey by Insight West and published in CBC in last year in March. They were saying 28% of the respondents, they said the racism has increased in past year. And 3 people out of 5, those who have done the survey, they said the election of the US President Donald Trump, that have a negative impact on the minority groups and immigrants in.
Well, I can't comment specifically on the situation in the United States, but you see a rise of populism across the world. You see images that you don't want to see. You see mass flux of refugees from one country to the other, and those are extremely sad situations. You see entire family, kids, babies, having to leave their countries and moving to other places, faces racism and intolerance, and so it's an effort that we have to do all across the world. And I think, actually, I'm pretty sure I know that Canada is leading the way because of the leadership of the Prime Minister.
Do we have any kind of particular timing or target when we're going to have our new anti-racism strategy?
We're aiming at the beginning of we're trying to next spring. We'll see how it's possible to do, but it's an absolute priority for me, the Prime Minister, and the government.
So just going towards another topic, you committed to support local journalism in your budget. And what's the update? And is the ethnic journalism part of this, your announcement?
Well, I cannot tell you what the announcement will be. If I do it, I lose my job. We're working really hard with the team on this. Again, this is something very important for the Prime Minister, and I understand the importance of local journalism. I understand the importance of, look where I am now. You're playing a huge role for your community, sometimes with limited resources, and you do an amazing job. So we're looking at see how we can support you in the industry. But I'm working on that, and that has to go to cabinet before I'm able to.
We heard there's a $10 million allocation.
Oh, that was we announced that in the budget, and we should announce the details fairly soon. But that was a $50 million over 5 years, so $10 million a year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to say something in closing to our listeners?
Well, that it's a real pleasure to come back. It's my second time as a minister at RED, and there's always a warm welcome, and it's very important for me. And I really thank you for that.
It's always a pleasure for us to be as our guest. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
So much time.